Hey guys, it's Peyton, and today I'm going to be talking about the most disappointing books I read in 2021. I hate to say it was like my worst books that I read, because these are all like books that some other people may really love. They were just personally disappointing for me, and I don't want to discourage people from trying these books out themselves because, these authors put a lot of work into them, and I'm sure the audience is there. It just wasn't personally there for me. I'm not going to try to be like hateful in this video. Like, I feel really guilty about this video. I do it every year, but like I get guiltier and guiltier because like I want to be an author one day, possibly. Like, we'll see if that ever happens for me, But at the same time, I'm a book reviewer, so this is a classic video to do, and I own some of these books, but some of them I don't. So it's gonna be 10 books in total out of the 80 books that I read in 2021. The first one that I will say is actually when I have a reading vlog on, so you can go and watch that. I'll put it in the cards so you can see my whole journey with this book. But Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. While I did read the whole trilogy, finally, I had read this book before and gave it like a really good review, like in middle school. Now I'm in college, I'm a junior. My life is different now. My thoughts and feelings are different now. So this book personally annoyed me, the characters annoyed me, and I just feel like it's such an overhyped book. I do really enjoy the show though. I thought it took all of the things that were annoying to me and just made them better. I'm not like a diehard Leigh Bardugo stan like everyone else is. I've read Six of Crows. I still haven't read Crooked Kingdom. Oh my god. But like it just hasn't been something that I've been obsessed with. I don't remember my rating of this. Like some of these books may even be 3 stars, which is not a bad rating. It just wasn't what I was hoping for it to be, and I wanted it to be something so good, and it just ended up falling flat for me. So like I don't hate most of these books. It's just something that didn't live up to what I was hoping for. And this one, I knew it wasn't gonna live up to the hype. I remembered pretty much nothing from when I read it the first time in middle school, and I was a different reader back then, so I knew that this was probably going to be a different experience for me. While I don't absolutely hate it or anything, it's just so overhyped to me, and I don't see why everyone's obsessed with it. I do like the other 2 books more. I'm not mad that I read it or anything, it just wasn't what a lot of people are talking about. In my opinion, like it just wasn't there for me. Honestly, I don't even know how to explain it. Like it's such a classic YA book, and most of you have probably come across this before, if not have already read it. Yeah, I really don't want to explain this book. Like I feel like so many people already know, and I just can't give it to you right now because it just feels frustrating. Next book that made my most disappointing reads of the year was a very super recent read. I read it in December, and it's one day in December. So I read this over several days in December. And this is a Christmas book, and it pissed me off to my core. I gave it a 2 stars, so this is one of the books that I really don't like. It's a book that takes place over so many years. It's a love at first sight type of book. The main character one day sees this guy. She's in a bus, and he's like across the street, so they can't really get to each other, and they have a love at first sight moment, and she's just obsessed with him. So she's been searching for him for a year when this book starts, and she can't find him, and one day her best friend, like they are so close. They are so close to each other. Her best friend shows her her new boyfriend, and oh my gosh, it's the guy that she had her love at first sight moment for. Instead of just like getting over it, because literally all they did was ever look at each other. I don't understand how this is so deep of a connection that she has with this guy that she's never even spoken to. So she's in love with him. She's like fully said she's in love with this man, and she's never even spoken to him at this point. Then she sees him with her best friend, and instead of just like giving up on it, because honestly, girl, y'all never even spoke. Be happy for your friend that she got a hot boy, and that's it. Like literally what ensues for so many years is them like emotionally cheating and possibly physically cheating. And I don't promote books with cheating or any cheating in general, obviously. I just can't get behind it. I can't stand when a character is cheating in any way, because emotional cheating is a thing, and this book was filled with it, and it was over so many years, and I just feel so bad for the best friend because wow, she was the only good character in the book, and she was done so freaking dirty in this book, and I just don't ship these characters at all. I don't like them at all. I only read the book because I really needed to get to my reading goal, and when I realized I wasn't liking it, I bought it for $2 at my used bookstore, so I was like, whatever, I'll just finish the thing so I can get to my reading goal, and I hated it. I really did. And my dog ate it. And honestly, I can't be that mad about it because she has good taste apparently. She knew that this was the type of book you eat instead of read. The next book that I was disappointed in is Internment by Samira Ahmed. I have an arc of this from years ago. I got it at a Y'all Fest. I finally had to read it for my YA literature class that I had last semester, and this one just didn't do it for me. It has such a good concept. It is about Islamophobia in America and how it's gone so far in this, more futuristic America. It's gone so far as there is internment camps for Muslim people. The main character, Layla, I believe her name is Layla, she is thrown into one of these internment camps, and this one was just annoying just based off of like the priorities the main character had. Like, it was mostly about her boyfriend that was on the outside, and I don't know, it was just such a good concept, but I saw other reviews saying the same thing, and like my class all felt the same. Like, we were just like, this was doing something and it had messages in there. It's just the teenage like love triangle thing, and like one of them was a guard, like one of the guards of the internment camp, and it didn't sit right with me, like the low-key romance that they had. That's one of her people that are like imprisoning her, so it just was really weird to me. I definitely think that this had a good message behind it, and I was really excited to read it, but it just didn't follow through for me, and I honestly didn't care about any of the characters. Like, I don't feel like I knew them at all. Next book that was really disappointing for me was Sweet and Bitter Magic by Adrienne Tooley. This was a YA fantasy that I was so excited for this year. It came out this year. It's a sapphic romance, and it is an enemies to lovers sort of situation, and it's witches. I just thought it was such a fun idea. The problem with this book is it's a standalone fantasy, and those can be well done. I can't tell you one on the top of my head that was well done, but I'm sure there is one that I've read that was well done. But this was just not. It was insta-lovey. When it just switches and the character's like, I love her so much, and I'm just sitting here like, I was waiting for y'all to even have a moment together. That was cute. And now you're in love with her. So as soon as that happened, like maybe halfway through the book, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna like this. If she's already in love with her and I see no freaking reason for how this could have happened, it's just not gonna be satisfying in the end for me. And I really am sad about it because this one has such a pretty cover and a really fun concept. Like, an insta-love situation can kill my love for a book so hard. That's what it did for me. It was just super unrealistic for me, and I feel like even the world building for this magical world, it was just so rushed, and I feel like if we had like a series around this instead, it would have been better, because it just felt like it was shoved into a 300-page book instead of like really fleshed out more the way it needed to be. I really need my characters fleshed out so I love them so much, and the magic system fleshed out, and it's just really hard to do that in a 300-page book. Like, there's so much to develop, and it was just one of those where I didn't really feel anything for the characters, and I really hate it because I was really hoping for this one to be a new favorite. Next book that was disappointing for me was Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez. Now, I read another book by Sophie Gonzalez this year, and I really liked that one. It wasn't like new favorite book of all time, but it was a decent read, and this was the first one I read though, and I had a whole migraine day because I got problems. I read this in one day because it's a pretty short book, and I was listening to the audiobook. I just didn't care. This is a Grease retelling, and it's one of those, they had a summer fling. I've never even seen Grease, but I've read 2 Grease retellings now, so I kind of get the vibes. Don't kill me that I haven't seen Grease. It hasn't happened. So they have a summer fling, these 2 boys. We don't see the summer fling. We just see when one of the boys, the main character, ends up going to the school that the other boy goes to. They didn't go to the same school before. Like, he lived in a whole different state, but now he's moved to the same state as the dude he's had a summer fling with. The fact that they developed a whole relationship over the summer that we didn't even see was my problem. Like, I did not see anything between the characters that gave them chemistry whatsoever. And I feel really bad about this because this is one of my friend Brittany's like favorite books. Like, she thinks this is so good, and I love that for her, but I just could not feel anything with the chemistry. Maybe I read it too fast or something. I did not care about the romance at all, and this is one of those books where it's all about the romance because it's a YA contemporary romance, and I wanted to love it. I really did. And it was also based in North Carolina, but written by an Australian writer, and I live in North Carolina. There was a few things that I just thought was funny reading this book. I don't know if she's been to North Carolina or something. It was just funny being a person from North Carolina and reading it. I feel like there's a lot of opportunities here. Like, there's some side characters that I found interesting, but in the end it just didn't stick with me, so I was disappointed because I was really hoping, like, once again, that this was going to be like one of my new things. And I do want to stick with this author because I did like her second book, Perfect on Paper. I just bought their other book, If This Gets Out, because it's about a boy band and two of the dudes fall in love. I'm interested in this author, this particular book wasn't really for me. The next book that was disappointing for me was Boy Snowbird by Helen Oyeyemi. Now, I read this for a class as well. This was for a fairy tale retellings class. We read a bunch of fairy tales, and this one is a fairy tale retelling of Snow White. It's such an interesting concept. I really wanted to love this one, but the ending of this book just kind of ruined everything for me. It's about this girl named Boy Novak. Interesting name. It's the 1953, and she gets married to this man, and she becomes a stepmother to his daughter Snow. So Arturo, the guy that she married, is a very light-skinned black man, I believe. His family is all very light-skinned. Snow, his daughter, is very light-skinned. You would never know that they are black unless you told people. When Boy and Arturo have a daughter with each other, that daughter named Bird, I don't know what's up with these weird names, but Bird is really dark-skinned, so it's very noticeable that she is black. There is noticeable differences between how Bird and Snow are treated by people, and Boy is so in love with her daughter Bird. She has more of a passionate love for her daughter because that's her blood. It's that typical stepmother, like evil stepmother thing where she just doesn't feel as much for Snow, and we see it over time. Her feelings turn into hatred over Snow because she is jealous of how Snow is treated. It's a very interesting concept that I think in some ways was really well done, but at the end, I just have to warn you guys, there is like transphobia at the end, and it's portrayed in the light of someone being sick and they need to be helped, and that's just what unraveled this book for me. One, it was such like a cop-out ending. I'm not telling you what the ending was, but it was just a very transphobic ending, and it just didn't sit right with me, and I just want to warn people of that, because if you're trying to get into this, like, yes, there is some well done aspects of this book and I appreciated it for what it was, but it's just the ending. Like, I just didn't like how the author was portraying trans people. It just wasn't a good look. I wish that part of the book was just not a thing, because I was really enjoying a lot of this book and like I was highlighting shit, so you know, it sucks. So the rest of the books on my list, I don't own a copy, so I'm gonna have to look at my phone for this. First one is Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. This is a Star Wars book. I went through a period of time where I was reading Star Wars books. I heard that this was one of the best ones. It's a YA one. It is like a star-crossed lovers thing. The two characters are on the different sides of, you know, the groups of people, the Empire and like the rebels, blah blah blah. They're like both training to be pilots. They grew up together, and then as they get older they take different sides, and I just hated it. It was like a 2-star for me because I just don't get it. The girl character was just awful. I hated her from my memory, at least. I just thought she was a terrible person. I really didn't understand anything about her and how the guy even liked her, honestly. Like, I just didn't like her at all. Then I didn't like the romance because of that. And I thought she was terrible, and they pissed me off the whole book, and I had to read her perspective over and over again. I just didn't like her, and that's all I know. It's a Star Wars book. I can't tell you much more other than I strongly disliked it. I've kind of deleted this book from my memory, but I just didn't like it and I was really sad about it. Next book is All Your Twisted Secrets. I couldn't even tell you the author's name. I'm sad about this one. This is a YA thriller. It was just down to personal preference. You know, this book kept me interested the whole time, but the ending, like the big reveal, I just didn't like. Like, it just didn't sit well with me, and other people, it might sit well with you. This is one of those things where all these characters are stuck in a room together, all their secrets come out, blah blah blah. One of them has to die before they can all get out. Like, they're being watched or something, and someone has to kill a person before they get out. These are all people that have interlinked lives with each other. They all go to the same high school and they've had drama together, and they all need to come to some sort of vote on who's going to die. I just didn't like how it ended. Like, honestly, that was the problem I had with it, and other people might not have a problem with it. So honestly, give this book a try. It might be for you. It just wasn't for me. I just thought it was a stupid ass ending. Honestly, like, it pissed me off to my core, and I've read another book like it that had like an ending like that, and it pissed me off to my core as well. So this particular trope is not for me. And I can't tell you what it is because it's a spoiler. It spoils the whole book. The next one is The Silent Patient, and honestly, this might be the book that I'm thinking of that had like a similar vibe, and it just pissed me off. Like, I didn't like the big reveal and it wasn't satisfying to me. This is a adult thriller and it's about this guy. He is a psychologist and he wants to be the therapist or whatever for this girl who one day just like shot her husband and like just went crazy out of nowhere. And she was like a really normal person before that, and she just killed her husband, and she's been stuck in a mental institution ever since, and she has not spoken ever since. She doesn't speak at all, and he is just trying to get her to speak. So we see his sessions with her, just desperately trying to get her to speak and figure out what is wrong with her. And I think she's like a really good painter or whatever, so maybe she gets some of her emotions out in her paintings. I don't know. I didn't like how this ended. I didn't like how it went. I thought there was a lot of missed opportunities. From my memory, I feel like there could have been more to this, and it just didn't go the way I was hoping it would. But at the same time, other people might enjoy the way this ended. A lot of people do, actually. Like, this is a beloved book, and that's why I picked it up, but it just didn't do it for me. It just didn't do it. The final book is You Love Me by Caroline Kepnes. This one is the third book in the You series. If you know the show You, it's based off of this book series. I loved the first book. The second one I gave it 2 stars, and I think this one was a 3 stars, but it could have been a 2 stars, honestly. It just was so boring to me. Like, the whole situation of this book series is a guy who is a stalker. We're in the point of view of him. It's in second person, and he's pretty much calling us you. Like, you. Like, we get so many things. It's a creepy way to write this book, and it's a very interesting concept, just seeing him stalk people and get crazy. Like, he thinks he's a good person, but he's really, really, really not. He is the bane of everyone's existence. If he enters your life, you're probably gonna die. Like, he's that type of dude. But he's such an interesting person to watch a show about and to read about, but it's just reached a point where he's just not interesting anymore. Like, it's a thing where we keep getting a new setting and a new set of characters each book, and it's like the same thing every single time. I've read 3 books now, and there's gonna be a 4th one, and I'm probably gonna end up reading that one too, because I'm gonna be curious. It's the same thing every time, and this particular book had just a really bland set of characters. I did not like feel intrigued by them, and he's just so obsessive over these people, and I didn't get why he was even obsessed with these people. They were particularly like super freaking boring. It just was getting old. I was doing the audiobook and I was just literally trudging through it. I had to get to my Goodreads goal. This was my final book of the year, and I was close enough. I was like, I gotta finish this book, but there was nothing about it that was interesting to me anymore. When I was, reading the last half of the book, I was just like, oh my gosh, we've seen this done so many times. It's just slightly different every time. The show, I actually binge watched the whole show this year, and I really enjoyed it. The books aren't doing it for me anymore. Honestly, the first book is the only one that I liked. So those are all the books that were disappointing for me. There was more books, but like, this is the 10 that I feel like were the most disappointing for me. Don't be discouraged though. If one of these still sounded interesting to you, I still encourage you to give it a try, because honestly, all of our opinions, like, we're subjective on these books. You might like them and I just don't. I don't want this to like make you not want to read these anymore. I'm just giving out my personal thoughts and opinions, and I'm not attacking any author. I'm just happy that they do what they do, because I wouldn't have anything to read. But not everything's gonna be my cup of tea. Let me know what your least favorite books were of 2021. Did you read any of these books that I've read, and what are your thoughts on them? Like, did you like them personally, or did you dislike them the way that I did? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like it, comment down below, have a good day, please subscribe, make sure to follow all my social medias, which are linked down below, and go click the bell button, which is right by the subscribe button, which you should already clicked, and goodbye.